for a reason, right? All right. The greatest responsibility. If people were perfect, then pencils would not have been made with erasers. I heard this saying from a wise older gentleman who advised me not to beat myself down for my past errors, because nobody who walks the earth is without them. This came at a time when I was down in the dumps about where my errors and my thinking had gotten me. It was 3 years into my 10-year prison sentence, and I was 3 years away from my son, who was 3 months old when I got incarcerated. That left him to be influenced and raised by the same streets that had guided me to the current place I was in, which was prison. When I thought about the consequences I was living out based on the decisions I had made, it was difficult to keep my chin from touching my chest, because I knew I wasn't where I was supposed to be. I was down about the fact that my son was not going to be able to attend Donuts with Dad, an event at his preschool. I would be absent for years to come because of my incarceration. After all of the laughter and acting like nothing matters, the bitter truth is that when you are in prison, you have let a lot of people down, especially your children, based on your actions. Prison puts you in a place where you cannot escape from yourself and your own thoughts. You have to confront them. Because when the lights are out and no movement is allowed in the dormitory, it's just you by yourself in solitude. I was supposed to be the father that was going to raise my son to become successful, but I found myself in a place where I despaired about ever getting that done because of the errors I had made. Not being there for events like Donuts with Dad really made me feel terrible about myself and my actions. What added to that terrible feeling was knowing my son would not be able to attend Muffins with Moms either, because his mom had to pick up extra hours to provide for him due to me not being there. After visits, my son would ask me if I could come home with him, but I had to always reply, it wasn't time yet. Then I'd watch him walk out the gates, looking back at me and waving goodbye until I was no longer visible. It was events like these that really tore my heart apart. Forgiveness is another layer that we will peel back to establish a positive relationship with our children. Having the ability to forgive is what will put our relationships in a premier place. People that show the capability to forgive experience life on this earth in a more peaceful and fulfilling way. On the contrary, the inability to forgive only erodes the quality of our relationships. People that are unable to forgive are usually contentious and bitter and experience life on this earth in a depressing way. The choice to forgive or not forgive is solely up to you. Forgiveness is primarily for you and not the other person. Therefore, no one is needed for the forgiveness process to run its course. Understanding what forgiveness means is key to applying it to your life. Forgiveness is being honest about how you feel. Sometimes people will say that they are fine with the trespass and it doesn't really bother them, when in actuality, they are bothered. It's completely fine and healthy to admit that something has angered or saddened you. Not being honest about how the offense impacted you only prevents you from allowing yourself to grow from the situation. I have no problem telling someone that what they did bothered me and that I was hurt by it. That creates the best chance to prevent a similar situation from happening again and to salvage the relationship. If that person cares, they will make the necessary adjustments. Forgiveness is detaching the act from the person who committed it. It's looking at the person with fresh eyes and giving them the benefit of the doubt that what they did is not who they are and that it was an honest error in judgment. Forgiveness is letting go of the hurt and not seeking revenge. Forgiveness is truly taking control of your life. Forgiveness is not allowing people who have trespassed against you to continue to rob you of a pleasant experience on this earth. If they hurt you in the past and you are still holding on to it in the present, they have not only hurt you in the past, but are now getting you to hurt yourself. You allow the act to continue to replay in your mind, making you even angrier than when the actual offense occurred. Forgiveness is not condoning the behavior. If someone has exhibited a behavior you don't like, you don't have to accept it. You can let that person know, and if they choose and if they don't choose to modify the behavior, it is your responsibility to remove yourself from their presence. Sometimes people will say that is just who they are, which is fine. But if I don't like people with that type of character trait around me, it is my responsibility to remove myself if they are adamant in not changing. Forgiveness does not mean being forced to continue a relationship with an individual. If you injured me in the past and I see that you are not apologetic about your action, then it makes no sense for me to continue to hang around you. As long as that person is that version of themselves, then the undesirable result you have received already will be duplicated. There are 3 prongs to forgiveness. The first is asking for forgiveness. When you ask for forgiveness, you don't need the person you have wronged to actually forgive you. Although it would be nice, it is not required. The power lies in you recognizing your wrong so that you can prevent it from happening in the future and damaging your relationships further. To ask for forgiveness, one must know that they have done something wrong. Not only that, they must actually feel sorry for what they've done. Sometimes people will apologize and then do the same exact thing again. This is because they only apologize to manipulate the situation. They didn't actually feel sorry. When you truly feel sorry, you will change your behavior. But if you justify the behavior in your mind, then an apology will be empty, without the true feeling of contrition to accompany that apology. A great example is when someone says something like this: "I'm sorry for doing that to you, but it was what you did that made me respond that way." This person is justifying the action instead of focusing on the wrong they committed. You can only fix yourself and your actions, not anybody else's. To do that is not an easy feat, especially if you acted in response of being wronged by someone. But you must be disciplined in primarily focusing on the wrong you committed. If what you did was wrong, then there is nothing that can make it right, and it deserves an apology. When famous people are caught in a particular scandal or recorded saying derogatory statements about an individual, they are pressured by their publicists and society to issue an apology. But you can see by their delivery that they are just apologizing to keep their revenue coming in or to maintain their success. If you are not truly sorry, you shouldn't apologize. Apologizing verbally is part of the process. With parenting, so often we may know that we are wrong and feel sorry, but it is difficult to apologize. I remember offering to help my girlfriend by picking up her oldest teenage daughter at the bus stop after school and taking her to their house. The first day I was supposed to be there, I was about 10 minutes late, and she began walking home. When I saw her, I asked her to get in the car. You could see the displeasure on her face at me being late. All the way to their house, I tried to act overly nice because I knew I was wrong for not being there when I said I would. But I didn't accompany my words with a verbal apology. She didn't laugh at any of my jokes, and she was very brief with her answers. Finally, once we got to her house, I built up the courage to apologize. When I actually said that I was sorry, that I would be on time from then on out, and that I had no excuse for my tardiness, her entire demeanor shifted. She instantly smiled and said it was okay and that she understood. Feeling sorry and apologizing verbally go a long way in establishing a positive relationship with our children. Apologizing shows them the respect we have for them, but also teaches them how to handle their errors after they are made. If we understand that pencils come with erasers for a reason, then we know that we as human beings have made errors and we will make more in the future. What prevents people from making the same errors is the way that they address the errors once they have committed them. I was late picking my girlfriend's daughter up from the bus stop. I wasn't late picking my girlfriend's daughter up from the bus stop again, because I left earlier to avoid being late and having to feel and say I was sorry another time. The second prong to the forgiveness process is forgiveness of self. It takes an understanding of self and knowing that you are a flawed individual who was born to make mistakes to be able to forgive yourself for the mistakes you have committed.
Daddy.
What's going on, baby?
I don't like the dog. I don't like the dog.
The dog? Oh, okay. Come on over here. Sit on my lap while Dad reading the book. I'm reading the book. This is a good book, too. This is the book that Dad. All right, let me finish, because the people, they want to hear the book.
Can I see Deshaun over here? Me and Deshaun.
There goes, yep. Da-da! Look, you see that? That's you and Deshaun right there. You riding on Dad's neck. Look how serious you look. You like, we got to get to the destination, right? We got to get to the destination. That's what we got to do. We got to get to the destination. All right. Let me finish. Can I finish this real quick? Because the people was reading. They was reading with me.
Is it another picture over here?
There go another one. Look at that one. You like that?
Is there another one over here?
Daughter, can I finish reading the chapter so then they can hear the chapter? Huh?
There's another one. I saw it.
There's pictures of you all through this book. This book is a book about you, daughter, and your brothers.
Who's that?
That's
Car.
Yep, Car.
And Daddy.
Yep, and then that's Car's mom. That's Car's mom's boyfriend. That's Car's mom's son. That's Deshaun. He wasn't born yet.
Why does Deshaun look like that?
Because he's small. He's young.
Just like you and Pop.
Yep. The second prong to the forgiveness process is forgiveness of self. Okay. It takes an understanding of self and knowing that you are a flawed individual who was born to make mistakes to be able to forgive yourself for the mistakes you have committed. The harm you have caused your children and others can often become a weight and a barrier between you and your children. My mother had difficulty in forgiving herself for getting caught up in the 80s in a lifestyle that prevented her from being present for my older brother and me. Once I had a conversation with her and I let her know she should hold her head up because she is flawed just like the rest of us who are walking this earth. I let her know that she had nothing to beat herself up about. And I told her that the work she had done with herself showed she was truly sorry for not being there. Then she was able to deal with the errors she had made in a better way and move forward instead of living in her past. Our errors are designed to be information we can extract from our past to get a clearer understanding of how to go at life in a better way. We are not supposed to hold mistakes over our heads, allowing them to weigh us down, nor should we allow anybody else to hold them over our heads. We did not make those errors so we could have the right to call ourselves failures or to accept others calling us failures. There is no such thing as a person being a failure, because a failure is an event and not a person. After I found myself in the dumps because of my stupidity to land myself in prison away from my son for 10 years, I brought myself up mentally and began to address the errors in my ways. I understand that I made the decisions I did due to a lack of information. You going back over there? Okay. Due to a lack of information. I was young and lacked understanding, but I vowed not to make those same errors again. I would make new errors, but not the same ones that landed me in prison. Forgiving myself gave me the ability to continue to evolve into an individual that would benefit my son once I was released and my other 2 children after him. It was vital that I forgave myself, especially coming from prison, because there are many people in society who want to hold your past over your head. But people who attempt to hold your errors over your head don't stand a chance of breaking you down if you choose not to hold those same errors over your head. You will be able to accomplish whatever you put your mind to. I was adamant about being a great father to my son, and that meant I had to forgive myself for my past wrongs. It wasn't what I did then, but what I was doing now that would dictate where I was going. That's what I reiterated to myself. I apologized to my son for not being there due to my incarceration, and forgiving myself gave me the ability to parent him effectively. Children who catch a whiff of a parent's inability to forgive themselves may use that guilt in their favor. Y'all hear that? I'm going to hit y'all with that again. Children who catch a whiff of a parent's inability to forgive themselves may use that guilt in their favor. They may try to get the parent to overlook things they usually wouldn't overlook. The immature mind of a child might be tempted to demand the parent get them Jordan shoes on Friday and a brand new Xbox on Monday by using the parent's guilt against them. The child could be misbehaving in school and at home, but because the parent feels guilty, they overlook it and honor the child's demands. I have witnessed mothers who found themselves to be ineffective with their children because of their inability to forgive themselves for choosing the fathers for their children that they chose. Their guilt is a form of prison that restricts them from establishing a strong relationship with their children. Children ultimately respect structure, and sound structure cannot be established with guilt. Forgiveness of self is imperative in parenting. Parents make mistakes every day with their children. There will be parents that read this book and start to look at the way they have interacted with their children and feel a bit of guilt. It is okay to feel the guilt. It is not okay to stay in it. You were doing what you knew how to do at the time, but now that you have gotten different information, you can do things differently. Once you recognize this, then you must ask for forgiveness. Forgive yourself and modify the interactions that were causing the negative feelings. All you can do is all you can do. And at the end of the day, all you can do is enough. That is all that is required for success. But you must ensure that you are doing all you can do. If you have asked for forgiveness and forgiven yourself, and your child still chooses to focus on what has happened, it is your responsibility to continue with the positive interactions with your child in order to communicate that how you were in the past is not how you are now. You have moved forward, and it will be best for them to move forward as well and accept the new and evolved version of yourself. That leads into the third prong, which is forgiveness of others. I am always surprised at the number of people that need to be forgiven for their trespasses but are unable to forgive others for theirs. It would seem that a person who understands an error that was committed against them would understand that they have committed errors against others as well. To forgive yourself, you have to understand that you are a flawed individual and bound to make mistakes. This same logic applies to other people as well. They are flawed just as you are flawed, and they will make mistakes just as you will make mistakes. They need to be forgiven just as you needed to be forgiven. When our children make mistakes and we continue to hold a grudge against them, it impacts the way we make decisions in regard to them. At one point, my oldest son, who had recently moved out the house, had borrowed some money from me, and he had vowed to pay it back. When it came time to repay the debt, he chose not to and even dodged my calls. As time elapsed, he eventually apologized for not returning the money and admitted he had faced some financial stress due to an unforeseen expense. He told me that he hadn't wanted to stiff me on the loan, but that he had known how to tell me. I forgave him and didn't hold a grudge toward him because of the act. But forgiveness is not forgetting. And shortly after, he asked for another loan. I didn't loan him as much money as I loaned him previously because his action still had a consequence. That consequence was me not trusting him with the large loan until he had shown the ability to be responsible with such a loan. He was working and showing more financial responsibility, so I loaned him a smaller amount of money. I didn't let what he had done in the past completely distract me from what I was seeing in the present, which was him being more responsible with his job, and the apology he'd given was heartfelt. So I detached the action from him as a person and gave him the opportunity to try again on a smaller scale. Handling the situation like this gave me the opportunity to be proud of him when he repaid the loan. He asked for money again, and he did the same thing again, being responsible and paying me back. When we forgive, we give our children the opportunity to feel what it's like to do things right. Once they feel what that's like, we must encourage them to continue to duplicate the correct behavior, right? So yeah, that's what it is, man. That right there was chapter 7 in the book, that stuff broke it down. It was some good stuff in there, man. Like, because so often, man, what you see is that, man, parents, they be guilty because of the error that they have made, and they feel like that, you know, they might even start to call themselves failures. And that's what I tell, man, people in general, man, you are not a failure. That is an event. It is not an actual person. And failure is the tuition to success. So, yeah, you might have messed up. Yeah, you might have made an error, but guess what? You made that error with the lack of information that you had, right? You still must do the work. You still must be a parent. You still must be a father. You still must be a mother. You still got to do the work. And you holding your head and being guilty and feeling guilty is not going to benefit your child none, because you got to be in a space in your head to where you can properly parent your child without talking about the wrongs that you've done. And you got to think about this. Your children will do wrong. So you showing them how you handle your errors will help them to show what will help them how to handle their errors. That's what it's about. This parenting piece is about putting something in our children's heads so that they can be successful as adults. So when I let my children know that, man, I'm wrong and I'm sorry, I apologize. I let them know that, man, guess what? When you become an adult, you're going to make errors too. When you are a child, you making errors, and I show them how I forgive them. They forgive me. We understand how forgiveness is going to put us on another level, and then that's how we going to get to our next level. It's about a way that we think. So yeah, man, that's why I'm so excited about the greatest responsibility, man, becoming the parent your child deserves. Is not only talking about, man, establishing a relationship with your child, but it's talking about, man, how we can develop ourselves so we can be on a whole nother level. That's why I'm excited about this stuff, man. I can't wait. Man, brother, it's coming your way too. Ken, it's coming your way, good brother, all the way out there in Mississippi. It will be to you, man, no doubt, man. So you can go ahead and digest this too as well. Break it on down, good brother. It'll be your way though, no doubt, man. Yeah, but that's what it's about. So, man, that's the movement in a nutshell. That was responsibility. I just wanted to just let y'all hear a little bit of this stuff, man. This book is powerful, man. It's powerful. It's just some of my greatest work. I kid you not. I hear my voice. I love it when I read it and it's my voice. That's what it's all about. You know, because sometimes, man, people will allow their voice to be drowned out by the editors, but I had to make sure that I maintain my voice throughout the editors. You know, when you write a book, sometimes people allow the editors to drown out their voice, but my voice has to ring in my books. That's what I ensure. When you get my books, you get in my mind. You get in me, right? It's my mentality. It's in there, right? You will hear me in my books. That's what it's about. So I don't allow the editors to drown me out. But that's the work that you put in. And I put in a lot of work with this book, going back and forth with the editors. They asking me to clarify things, to make things a little bit more clear. That's what it's about, man. And I'm excited about what it can do because of the work that I put in. Not because I just threw it together. No, I put it in. I put it in, right? I put it in for a particular reason. I put it in for a particular reason. Look at those thumbs up. Where are those thumbs up at? The people can't see. Let them see them thumbs up. Yeah. Yeah, what you going to do, though? What you going to do?
Harper want to play with my other world's toys.
She want to play with what?
My other world's toys.
All right. Where's she at?
She's over there, swinging.
Oh, okay. Okay, but we got to get ready in a hot second to get ready for that good old bath. Because we got to, yeah, just go ahead and get your toys and stuff like that. But we got to get ready for that good old bath. I got some of that fresh bubble bath, too, for you. And this is the bubble bath going to put her straight to sleep. She don't even realize. She love the bubble bath, right? But that bubble bath I got is going to put her straight to sleep, right? I be intentional about this stuff, right? She excited about the bubble bath. Like, yeah, the bubbles. Hey, daughter. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I got that new bubble bath for you too, daughter.
What color?
It's like purplish. It's good though.
Color.
Yeah, it's good. You gonna love this bubble bath. on the bubble bath, it says sleep, right? You know, I'll be on it. The bubble bath say sleep, right? She'd be like, bubble bath, bubble bath. I'll be like, yeah, get in that bubble bath, right? As soon as you get in that bubble bath, soak for a little minute. As soon as you get out, dry off, put your pajamas on, you sleep in a mug, right? That's what it's all about. And I talk about things like that in the book, because that's what it's about, is just, man, establishing that harmonious environment, right? Because the reason why I want a harmonious environment, and that's in the chapter before. No, that's in the chapter after, the one I just read. But the reason why I want a harmonious environment is because I want to be able to transfer information. I want to be influential in my children's lives. And the only way for me to be influential is if I have a positive relationship. But if it's a war zone type of environment, it's going to be difficult for me to be influential in my children's lives. So I don't fight these small battles, right? The battle that I fight is the battle that's within, that's stopping me from just going that extra step to get it done in a peaceful way, right? And that's the choice. But that's why it is so important that we have that information circulating around in our heads. That's why it's so important that we have those conversations, so then when we are faced with that opportunity to establish that positive relationship with our children, we can capitalize on it because we are in the right mindset, right? Your mind has to be strong enough to dominate your behavior. If your mind is not strong enough to dominate your behavior, what will dominate your behavior is your feelings. And if your feelings dominate your behavior, then when you are tired, you won't do. When you are upset, you will respond in that way. When you are sad, you will respond in that way. You will go up and down, because when you are happy, you will respond in that way. You will go up and down, and no relationship can be established on feelings, because feelings are unstable. And if your behavior is dominated by your feelings, then guess what? You will be unstable in all your ways. You will not be able to have no strong relationship. And if you have a weak relationship, you will be living in hell. Weak relationships are hell, right? Strong relationships are paradise. This is as real as it gets, man. Like, this is as real as it gets. So then that's why it is so important that we talk. Like, even on these lives, like this right now, it's building. We are building, right? As I am talking, I'm keeping this stuff circulating in my mind. As you are receiving this information, it is now circulating in your mind. So then that means that it is getting placed on your mind. Then when you read the book, right, it is getting further ingrained into your mind, right? And then when you have another conversation about what the book is talking about, it's getting further and deeply more ingrained into your mind. So now your mind will be strong enough to dominate your feelings. So when you are feeling a certain type of way, you will be like, no, no, no. I'm going to move this way that I know is going to get me to my destination. Because if I just sit up there and just go how I feel, I will never make it to my destination. You know what? The top is reserved for those people who are focused. The top is reserved for those individuals who are operating out of their mind, who their minds are controlling their behavior. The top is not reserved for those people who are allowing their feelings to dominate their behavior, because you will never be able to cover the ground that is necessary to be able to make it to the top, because your feelings is controlling everything. And you sitting down when you should be walking, right? You running when you should be jogging, right? Just because you feel like it, and you're not doing anything when you are supposed to do it, because you are operating off of your feelings. And that's why you ain't really getting to where you need to get to. So if we are establishing strong relationships with our children, we got to make sure, with anybody, we got to make sure that we are operating out of our minds. And the only way that we can operate out of our minds is if we continue to feed it. We got to read. We got to have conversations. They say in America, United States of America, 3% of the public own a library card. You know how much a library card costs? Free. That means that you have access to all of the books that you want in the library. Gotta read. Feed your mind. I challenge y'all to feed your mind. Feed your mind, and then the problems that you see exist can no longer exist because your mind will be strong enough to be able to overcome the problems that exist. It is no problem that is greater than your mind. Like, your mind is fit and built to be a solution to any problem that exists in the world. But you gotta feed your mind so your mind can go out there and search and find the solution. You gotta search. It is not, if you don't search, you will not find. Seek and ye will find. But if you're not seeking, then guess what? You will not find. The way that you seek is by reading. The way that you seek is by conversations. The way that you seek is by looking, being aware, looking for the next idea, right? Why do you think I read books? Because I'm looking for the next idea. Why do you think I get into conversations? Because I'm looking for the next idea. Because the next idea can change the whole world as a whole. But it's not just gonna come and just plop on your lap. You can't just put your feet up and say, man, hey, man, the idea's gonna come and plop on my lap. I'm not about to be the best parent that I can be just with my feet kicked up and I just survive the test of time. Man, it's gonna take longer than time. Like, people think that just because you've been on this earth for 20 years, for 30 years, for 40 years, that you're gonna automatically get there. But that's how you get 40, 50, 60, 70, 80-year-old fools, because they didn't put in the work to develop themselves. And if